Hapkido versus Aikido. I'm not nearly the first person to discuss this topic, and I've never officially studied Aikido, but figured I would make a video and lay out a few of the things I've learned and come across over my years of training in Hapkido. First, where did these arts come from? Both of them have a common root of the art of Daitoryu Aiki Jujutsu, which creators of both arts at some point learned from Japanese instructor Takeda Sokaku, a famous teacher of that art. Ueshiba Morihei, the founder of Aikido, was believed to have spent a few years with Takeda in the early 1900s before eventually going on his own to teach Daitoryu for some time. He eventually developed more and more on his own with other influences to create modern Aikido. The credited founder of Hapkido, Choi Young-sul, is believed to have been sent to Japan as a child to work as a servant. He was placed in the home of Takeda, where he spent many years, and eventually began learning Daitoryu from him before returning to Korea later in his life. Some believe he was actually adopted by Takeda, but the history is commonly disputed. Like Ueshiba, he used this foundation of techniques to help develop his own style, later to be named Hapkido. Both arts actually share the same name. They don't sound identical because that name is translated into Japanese and Korean respectively. But if you take a look at the original writing, you'll see that the Japanese kanji characters and Korean hanja characters both are the same, as both languages' original writing systems stem from the same Chinese script, spell out the same thing, pronounced in Chinese Huchida. It is just pronounced differently since, again, it is translated into each respective language. The meaning in English is the way of harmonized or coordinated energy. Because of their shared roots, Aikido and Hapkido inevitably share some core principles, mainly with what we call soft style movements, like circles and redirection of energy, as opposed to resisting attacks directly. The practitioner is trained to flow with attacks from the opposition, and the idea is diffusing a situation without harming any parties involved. Both arts practice meditation and breathing techniques as well, with inner peace being a vital goal of students of the arts. With those similarities in mind, these arts can also and are commonly viewed as critically different in modern times. To an outsider, the movements and practices can look the same on the surface, but after splitting from the same root, the arts grew further and further apart. Ueshiba remained in Japan, but was said to have multiple spiritual encounters, which caused him to move the art further from striking and become softer as a result, while Chue returned to Korea, where at the time the arts of Taekwondo and Tangsudo were rapidly growing in popularity. Early developers of Hapkido incorporated knowledge from these arts, creating a hybrid of sorts. So I think the major differences in the two arts today are that Hapkido has generally added more in the kicking department as well as ground grappling, where Aikido has specialized more in standing locks, joint manipulations, and throws. Aikido is said to have become softer over time, while some argue that Hapkido has become more hardstyle, turning joint locks into breaks and adding more strikes when necessary. I believe Hapkido has been implemented more in military training in Korea for that reason. I've heard as well that Hapkido is considered more of a complete art because it covers more broad ground and aspects of martial arts, which I can understand, but I'm personally wary of calling any art complete. None of this is to say that you can't find an Aikido school that practices kicks, or a less intense Hapkido school. I'm not really a fan of talking about martial arts in absolutes, because if there are different schools and different instructors of a given art, then there are different ways to learn it. I would also never claim that one art is better than the other, because that would assume every practitioner has the same physical attributes, same goals, same interests, same talents, etc., and that is not the case. This video doesn't serve to compare the arts in that sense, only to speak about their similar roots and the ways they've grown differently over time. As I said, I myself practice Hapkido, and I love it. I like to think of it as a peaceful art, and I'm not a big fan of altercations, and I never plan to be in a fight. For that reason, I respect Aikido, and I have enjoyed the small amount I've learned from it. Hopefully, if you practice either of these arts, or any art for that matter, you can respect the interests and choices of other people. Please leave a comment if you'd like to start or join a conversation on this topic. Thanks for watching.